Hello, happy Halloween. It's Halloween today, darlings. And I'm just coming really quickly to drop a few tips, pointers, things like that on resetting your foundation and surrounding yourself with women in business that can support you so that you can learn. Simple. I hope everyone has been having a great day and it's been a beautiful journey. Just looking at life and what's around you and hi, Tony. Just looking at life. It's beautiful. We don't really get to appreciate life until someone dies or until someone is born, but life has so much joy and beauty in it that we take for granted. So, I'm Tina. I don't really have a title. I don't really want to say I'm a priest, but I'm that guy, that female that has resources, tips, and tools to share with other people and hope that it helps them. I work with women. I work with babies. I do a lot of things. Hey Jay, how you doing? But I am Tina. I am a attraction marketer, and what that means is I think a thought, and I believe that whatever I think comes to me in the positive or negative. Hey Rolita, how are you? So where are you guys joining me from? Because it's 12:30 here, so that means either you at work or at lunch, or you work for yourself, which would be awesome. Being able to have the freedom to choose when and where you work is a beautiful thing. Hey, Felton, that last name. So my grandmother, my mother's mom, last name was Hodges. So when I saw your name, I automatically felt like he was family. Maybe, but when you start a business, oh, cool, I got family in Chi-Town too. But when you start businesses and when you start planning things like that, I always go back to attraction marketing. I believe in the law of attraction. I believe in universal laws. I don't really follow man laws. Like I do to a certain extent, but for the most part, I don't deal with this stuff. I don't. Hey, Hanga, how are you from South Africa? But I wanted to share with women how to start doing other things. The thoughts that we're thinking come from a foundational type mindset, I guess. But how you were raised, the environment that you grew up in has a lot to do with what you're seeing. Oh, hey, up in Toledo, is it cold? Like, I might come and visit, but some of this South Africa sounds warm. Greater Chicago, I don't know about that. And Toledo sounds like it got a little nip to it. I like 75-degree weather. If it's not 75 degrees, you have me. I'm in the house. I don't do none of that. Like I don't like cold if I can deal with it. I'm good, Yanga. Thanks for asking. But attraction marketing for me is a mindset. Before anything comes to the physical realm, it's a thought, it's energy first. And when we understand how we were created as thoughts. Like it was a thought. My mama had a thought, my daddy had a thought, and they put them thoughts together, and here I am. So your thoughts manifest, and it's not just in a physical realm, but sometimes spiritually too. So we have a bunch of people who are dysfunctionally functioning, and I learned a lot. Hey, Reese, a lot of the things that I was going through, a lot of the things that I was experiencing from childhood to adulthood, I learned from watching my mother and father. And a quick story for me, my mother and father did not raise me. I was raised by the state of Mississippi. I was raised in foster homes and group homes. So it would be a situation where it was a dysfunctional family. My mother and father had 4 girls, and even that was dysfunctional. I had 2 parents that couldn't communicate enough with one another to raise their children, so everyone else raised us. And that's not a good situation. Even, and that may have had a lot to do with how I raised my children. Like, I'm all over my girls. And I show them love and I share with them and I teach them about attraction marketing and law of attraction as well, because I understand where I came from. A lot of people think that the system, or like DHS or CPS or however you call it in your area, but it's not built to really, it's not built for our families. It's not built for our families. A lot of things that a lot of people end up that go from a dysfunctional families to CPS, and a lot of them go from there to prison or jail. Like that's their life because they see the things that are wrong in the system. And I learned a lot. Like if your parents were abusive, if your parents were drug addicts, which mine were, my mother and father were abusive, but my father was the drug addict. And it taught me a lot about what I did not want. And every time I said what I didn't want, it brought it right to my door. Most definitely, every time. So I started having to be able to learn how everything I was supposed to have parents teach me, they didn't. Someone else taught me. So I was a community child. Like a lot of the people that I call mama to this day had no relation to me. They just was like, they saw me, they knew my mom and dad, and they saw that I was just there. Like I would be with different foster parents, or I would be out in the street, or I would be hustling, or whatever it was that I was doing. But I didn't have a mom and dad there. Like my mom, growing up, my mom would always tell me how she wished she never had me, and she wished I was somebody else. So having that mindset, I grew up thinking that I was not enough. Like everything, I would always get into fights because people picked on me because of my clothes and accent. But all the things that people picked on me about is the things that people pay me for today. No lie. I was always, my family was color struck. And color struck means if you're not a certain skin tone, they don't fuck with you. If you don't do a certain thing, if you're not lighter than a brown paper bag, they don't really deal with you. And I'm not the lightest and I'm not the darkest, but I've always been a child that was intuitive and spiritual. Like most of my issues did not come from being a hard-headed child. Like I got into trouble or whatever, but most of my issues was because I spoke what spirit told me. As a 5-year-old child, I would be giving prophetic messages to other people, and as opposed to hearing what I had to say, they would either try to beat it out of me or just tell me to hush or something. So my thing, I've always had a business, and I've always had a mindset of you can't make me do anything I don't want to do. And that applied to business as well. As I was growing up, I learned that a lot of the systems that are in place aren't for your best good. The systems that we look up to and we respect and honor, they don't really care about you. You're a number, no matter how old you are. And being a child that grew up in the system, like people who came to like for adoptions and stuff, they always wanted babies. So if you were older than like 2, you either stayed into the system until you were granted out. I was in CPS custody from '89 until I graduated. There were situations in between where we would go back home. The system is set up to say if your parents can go to a parenting class instead of psychiatry or anything like that, if your parents can go to a parenting class for about 2-3 weeks, then you go back and that's it. But it never really fixed the problem. So my foundation was all fucked up. But I learned along the way that no matter how bad my situation was, no matter what was going on, any of that, there was always strong women around me that was like, baby, don't do that. I know your mom and them, da 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 da, but don't do that. You gotta be able to think better. And no matter what, I was always protected. Always. Now, I was also a person who was sexually molested. There was incest in my family. There was rape. There was abuse. There was suicide. There was homicide. There was all kinds of stuff in my life, in my foundation, that made me who I am. People ask me, why am I so strong? Like, I'm not strong. To me, I'm not strong because it was something that was glamorous or whatever. People would always be able to see the beauty in me, and they would always see the light in me. But with that light came other things. So if you're a person in business and you may not have had the best start, don't give up. It's possible. If I can go through all the stuff that I've been through, whether that's incest, whether that's rape, whether that's molestation, abusive boyfriends, abusive marriage, if I can go through all of that and still say, you know what, I'm going to stand up on my 2 feet, reset my foundation, and move on. The only difference between me and somebody that is in prison and or jail is a 17-second reset. And at this time, I didn't know what to call it, at that time, I didn't know what to call it. But now, the difference between me going to jail because I done lost my temper and couldn't think straight or didn't know how to move forward, the difference now is I know that it's something bigger on the line than just me. I've had several people try to kill me. I've had several people put their hands on me. I've had several people. And in all of that, I had to reset my mind and be like, what is it about you that's drawing those people? It's a different mindset. As opposed to saying, I'm a victim and oh, da, da, da. I'm not a victim. I'm the same human being like everyone else. I want my money like everyone else. And I'm very bullheaded to the point where you can't tell me no. If I set my mind that I'm going to go out today and make $5,000, you can't tell me no. And a person with a strong will is very hard to break. And that's the thing. We all get tired. So I've been doing a 5-day challenge. And the challenge for me was going through and sharing all the stuff that there have been people that would come in my life and be like, remember when you was, I had family members that after I was raped several times, and I would tell my family, they would laugh. Like they would make jokes out of it. It was funny for them. And these were women. And anytime that they got mad at me or upset or didn't like something I said, they were like, oh, that's why such and such raped you. Like that was something that was funny. Like those things. So in business, I bring my life experiences to business because I know that right now there's a woman that's being beat by her dude. Right now I know that there's someone being raped. A woman is raped every minute. There's a woman that's being mishandled and mistreated. And I don't say it for like shits and giggles. It's real shit. So we don't understand the fact what someone has gone through to get where they are. If you don't know where I come from, you don't know why I fight so hard to be able to homeschool my girls. One, I know that the system was not meant for us, education or not. So I make sure that when I'm in business, anybody that I do business with, I go by energy first. I come from a very toxic family. And I love them. I just love them from a distance. It does not change. I come from a family that feels like if you don't believe you don't do what I say, we can beat it out you. But we grown now. So I have to put my energy towards, hey, Minister Rosa, hey, Christine. I have to put my energy towards something that's positive. There are a lot of women across the globe that do not have a voice, period. They don't have a voice over their body. Every time I know that there's a woman in anywhere having female genital mutilation, it makes me work harder because that's some old oppression. And how is it that it's always females that have to have their bodies cut on and sliced on, but men can go and have as many children as they want. And someone as young as 5 is being married to somebody that's 45. First time someone ever touched me, I was 5, from 5 to 18. So imagine how my mindset was around men. Imagine the things that my mother was supposed to teach me, she didn't teach me because I was in the system and the system didn't teach me. So as soon as I could, I got out, I left. And everything after that was mindset. I've always been a healer. I've always been a person to see the best in someone, but I also saw the bullshit. If you're going to be in business, you have to be able to reset your foundation and understand that you're here for a purpose other than, it's bigger than you. Because the lessons that you have are for somebody else. The reason I'm here, because there were several times I was like, I'm tired of life. I don't belong here. I don't belong on this earth. No one understands me, right? Most people go through that. I'm not here. And then I would meet somebody. This time last year, I was in New Orleans. No, I was in California. So 2 years ago. 2 years ago at this time, I was driving home from a parade, like drum practice or something. I played djembe, congos, and different stuff. So on my way home, there was a girl pulled to the side of the road, her and her sister or cousin. Her brother had just called her and killed himself. He couldn't take the pressure of life in society. He couldn't take the pressure of his mother and father, right? That everybody had expectations. He had 5 children that he left on the table because he couldn't take life. Instead of reaching out to somebody, instead of reaching and resetting his mindset, he just killed himself. And I happened to be pulling up on the HOV going back to Algiers. I never would take the HOV coming home. But from where I was coming from, it made more sense to take the HOV than it would just to drive around the city in New Orleans. And as I was standing there with her, I could feel everything she was feeling. I could see everything that she had seen. And for someone who sees clearly and understands, I was born with a veil over my eyes, as my grandmother would say. So I had the the veil between life and death has always been thin for me. I could always see death, and I would always call it. Like one of those people that pop up when death show up, that's me, because I've been there. Like, if it wasn't for my children, it was a lot of times. If it wasn't for my children, I wouldn't have had a reason, because life showed me that I wasn't worthy. And then I had to reset it. What if my mama was wrong? What if my grandmother was wrong? What if my great-grandmother was wrong? And they were. How do you tell someone who was supposed to be there for you that you're wrong and love them? Like, it's been a lot of times where sometimes I have to treat my mom like she's my teenager. I'm not being funny. It's like, I have to love her even though she was not there for me. The worst day of my life was the day my father died. Because I was in a situation where, had my father been a father and taught me some stuff, I wouldn't have been where I was. But choice put me there. My foundation put me there. Who I was put me there. My goals put me there. My destiny put me there. So I have to understand that even through this 5-day challenge, and even as I'm consulting with other people and doing other readings, I have to understand that there's a power bigger than everybody, and it's not just about me. Period. So you have to surround yourself. Hey, Kinky. Hey, Yanga. Hey, Jay. But there are a lot of men. And when we come to business and we're like, well, you know, if you got more than one child, people feel a certain type of way about you. But I'm here to tell a woman with children, you don't have to put up with that shit. Like, your first intuition when you met him was probably right. And it's not the end of the world because you have children. The same amount of money that I have made for working for other people, I have made sitting right here. So I sold for a living, period. That top can be sold anywhere from $1 to $500, specifically because that's my work. In business, it's more so about your mindset than it is about what you have or what you're facing. It's not about what you're facing. It's about, are you going to have enough balls to get up? Like, if nothing else, I've always had chutzpah. I've always had like something about me that was like, I'm not dying. Like, I've looked people in my face as they were talking about they were going to take my life. And I was like, either you're going to kill me or I got stuff to do tomorrow. So either we doing this or we not, because I've been waiting for somebody to do this. Like, that's a sick mindset. So I had to reset all the things that I heard, all the things that I saw. Like, I looked up to certain people, and as I got older, I noticed that they wasn't really, they did the best that they would do. They did the best that they could, but sometimes the people that are supposed to help you and build you are broken themselves, so they can't. Like, they can't carry you. The person that was meant to carry you drops you. So growing up, I had abandonment issues. I dealt with anxiety. I was suicidal. Like, I remember at 11 years old taking a bottle. Hey, Steve. I remember at 11 years old taking a bottle of Tylenol and being mad because I woke up. Like, I was mad. Like, I still got to face this shit. I still got to be here with a mama that don't love me. Like, that's the mindset. But changing your mindset, be like, you know what? You may not have had the mental capacity to love me. I remind you of my father. I can't help that. But when I look back at pictures, I look just like my mom. Like, literally, I might have my father's attitude, or that get up and get on, get it down, that you can't take nothing from me type thing. But I look just like my mom. So it wasn't me that she was fighting. She was fighting herself to this day. And I love them all. But when you're starting business, you have to deal with the personal work. Today is Wellness Wednesday, dealing with mindset, dealing with who you are, dealing with all the shit that comes with the calabash that you are. You are born spirit. You are born light. And the first thing that I was taught, my Baba Owl teaches me, is the first thing that light must do is protect itself. So as a mother in business, I lay my life down for my children, and I don't flinch about none of that. Period. So what is it that you're willing to die for? Like, most people are afraid to live. They always talking about, I'm ready to die, I'm ready to die. But when you face with death, it's a whole other thing. I know what's on the other side. And I keep my heart light. I don't hold grudges, and all the stuff that used to bother me, like it used to hurt me when my sisters told me that that's why I was raped or that's why I was, you know what I'm saying? Like, and when they were older, and I used to wait for my dad at the door. I used to wait for my sisters at the door. And I'd be like, well, why am I in foster homes? They're 18. Why they didn't come get me? They were too busy living their lives. It wasn't their journey. Every place I lived, I learned a new thing about myself. So even with all of that, I still push forward in business. Like, I'm tired as a motherfucker right now, but I still show up. That's just my energy. Like, you never know what somebody goes through. Like, most people are like, you're so beautiful. And it took a long time before I could see that. Like, I always saw what I heard in my head. My mama would tell me it was a cousin I had, and we were about neck and neck. Like, I wish she was more like this person. I wish she was more like that person. But when I went to school with my cousin and we were talking, like we would sing and all kinds of stuff. Singing, dancing, drumming has always been throughout my family. Writing, we've always been creative, period. And I would go and sing with my cousins. And we would talk about like family stuff and understand, just the differences between our life. And I would tell my mom, like, the cousin that you wish I was, my grades are better than her. I'm so all the stuff that you